this turtle just took a tumble down the steps. So our conclusion is that there seems to be discomfort in the first digit on the right side, that his left hallux is dislocated. The axial skeleton is the part of the skeleton that consists of the bones of the head of the trunk of the vertebrae. The appendicular skeleton is the portion of the skeleton of the vertebrae consisting of the bones that support the appendages. An example of this would be your arm. Superior is to be higher than another. An example would be if he cracked his skull, it would be superior to his femur. An inferior is to be below to another. An example would be his mouth is inferior to his nose.
Anterior is the front surface of the body. An example of this is the ribs are anterior to the tailbone. Posterior sits farther back. The shell is posterior to his mouth. Medial is located right along the midline. The vertebrae is more medial than the shoulder. Lateral is a structure farther away from the midline. The ears are more lateral to the mouth. Proximal is closest to the limbs, attachment points. An example would be your elbow is more proximal than your fifth digit finger. Distal is to be farther from the attachment point. The carpal bones are distal to the shoulder.
Superficial is to be on the surface. His bandana is superficial to his occipital lobe. Deep is further away from the surface. His appendix is deep compared to his shell. The dorsal body cavity protects the nervous system. His skull and vertebrae are a part of it. His skull and vertebrae, the cranial cavity is within the skull. This would include his skull. Vertebrae, the vertebral cavity protects his spinal cord. His vertebrae is a part of this. The ventral body cavity contains the internal organs and is anterior to the dorsal cavity. The thoracic body cavity is superior to the abdominal pelvic cavity.
This would contain his heart and his lungs. The abdominal pelvic is inferior to the thoracic region. This contains the stomach, intestines, and spleen. Sagittal cuts the body left to right. Mid-sagittal cuts it left to right into two equal separate parts. Frontal cuts into a front and back. Transverse cuts into an upper and lower sections. Right upper quadrant is in the top right below the ribs. Left upper quadrant is the top left below the ribs. Right lower quadrant is located on the right side above the hip bone. The left lower quadrant is on the left side right below the hip bone.
The right hypochondriac is pertaining to the right side and is right below the ribs. The epigastric is located in the upper middle of his abdominal pelvic region. The left hypochondriac is pertaining to the left side and is right below the ribs. The right lumbar region is below the right hypochondriac. The umbilical region is in the middle right. The umbilical region is in the middle right of it's right on top of the belly button. The left lumbar region is to the left of the umbilical region. The right iliac region is at the far bottom right of it. The abdominal is at the far bottom right of the abdominal pelvic region. The hypogastric region is right below the umbilical region. The left iliac region is the bottom left of the abdominal pelvic. And this is it for the Ninja Turtle.